Aloha and welcome to the Here in Hawaii podcast, presented by Hawaii State Federal Credit Union. Today, we're hanging out with Dr. Theresa Wee, a pediatric obesity health and wellness expert and founder of Walk with a Doc Oahu. Let's start from the beginning. How did you even get into medicine as your career? Did you grow up always wanting to be a doctor?
No, I grew up in 1960s when I was 8 years old. I didn't even know a woman doctor.
Oh.
But my dad used to take me to the library, all four of us kids, and I read an autobiography. I was fascinated, and I read the story of Florence Nightingale, Madame Curie, but I really liked Elizabeth Blackwell, the first woman doctor. So at the age of 8, I declared to everyone, I want to be a doctor.
Wow.
And everyone told me, no, you're going to be a nurse, you'll be an engineer like your dad. And I said, I was stubborn. I said, no, I'll show all of you.
And what was it about that belief in yourself? Like, how did you have such, confidence in that you're going to prove these people wrong? Because at that age, a lot of times kids can be really impressionable and be like, oh, really? I can't? Okay.
Yeah, I think my parents, especially my dad, was very supportive. He told me, and I was really into sports, he says, you can do anything you want. And, as time went on, I won science fairs, I was doing well. Everyone knew in high school, I went to Marino. And, so people always gave me opportunities. And by the time I was in UH Manoa, I knew that's what I wanted. But of course, it wasn't always that easy. Mm-hmm. There were bumps in the road. But
what were some of the things that were difficult, and how were you able to go past and beyond that?
I remember as a freshman at UH Manoa, I was in the honors program, but I got 2 C's in honors calculus and honors philosophy. And I was ready to quit, but my dad said, just shake it off, see what you can do the next time. So I actually graduated in 3 years at UH Manoa.
Wow.
And then I applied to John A. Burns School of Medicine in early decision. So I was only 20 years old and I got into John A. Burns School of Medicine on early decision.
Wow.
Yeah.
Was there ever a point where you thought, maybe I want to try this instead? Did you ever waver from this?
My first semester at John A. Burns, I went to the Dean of Students, Benjamin Young. I said, I can't do this. I quit. And Benjamin Young looked at me. My maiden name was Young. He goes, a Young doesn't quit. Wow. And he encouraged me to stay on, and I did. And I graduated. I graduated JABSOM in 1979.
What did it mean to you to have people like your parents and like Dr. Young who were there for you during these times of doubt?
There were so many people who came at the right time. I think it is, now when I look back, it's, I think it was the grit and perseverance, and maybe that's what people saw in me. I never felt that I was really good enough to do it, but people saw something in me that I didn't see. And I try to pay it forward when I mentor high school and pre-med students, and I try to encourage them because I could be the one to really give them that boost.
What does it mean to you, for you, to be a doctor?
It's been a childhood dream to be a doctor, and of course, when I first started out as a young physician, my husband, Stephen Wee, was an internist. We opened our first office down the road in Waipahu Gentry. You don't know what the heck you're doing sometimes, but people trust you, they come to you, and it's kind of learning on the job. But I find great satisfaction in getting to know the community, getting to know the families, being a part of their lives, and really encouraging our families to stay strong, to not give up. In pediatrics, which I'm a pediatrician, it's been 40 years now, but I try to encourage parents to parent together and keep that family bond strong, because I think it's so important to be proactive. And knowledge is power, so we need to really educate people on healthy habits. And if we can instill them in our children, what a great opportunity for the next generation to really prosper.
Yeah, that's so different I think, perception of when you think doctor, you think, oh, it's very medicinal, come in, let me write you a prescription kind of thing.
Yeah.
What you describe is that your role is more of being part of the community and healing and building community versus just this kind of like technician, so to speak, right?
I think that's so important. And, you know, when I talk to families, I like to include the grandparents because we have so many intergenerational homes. So the grandparents also have to be healthy. They need to babysit, but they need to model good habits. Parents need to take care of themselves. Kids are looking at us constantly, and sometimes they don't listen to what you're saying, but they're modeling your behavior. So if you say, turn off your phone, but they're constantly on the phone, that doesn't match. So I think it's just educating everyone on, I think our country is going to be as strong as our family structure.
Established in 1936, Hawaii State Federal Credit Union is one of Hawaii's largest credit unions with 14 locations across Maui and Oahu. They offer full-service financial solutions to meet your needs, everything from checking and savings to loans, credit cards, and more. And as a not-for-profit, Hawaii State Federal Credit Union is able to give back to their members in the form of better rates, lower fees, and innovative services. In fact, last year, they gave back nearly $19 million in share dividends to their members. And they also are strong believers in the power of building relationships and enriching lives, especially by giving back to the community. So whether it's through donation drives or by employees giving their time, the team at Hawaii State Federal Credit Union understands that small actions can have a big impact in the lives of others. So if you're looking for a place to bank that's always right by you, then you gotta look no further than Hawaii State Federal Credit Union. You can visit www.hawaiistatefcu.com or stop by any branch to join the HSFCU family today. Federally insured by NCUA. What are some other ways, like outside of the office, that you've been able to kind of be a part of the community, help build community?
Yeah, so, you know, when I first moved into my new office, this was in 2012, I had an office manager who had an obese child, and she said, "What is your passion?" No one ever asked me that. And I said, my passion is to help families that are obese, parents that are obese, or if they have an obese child. And again, I think that unlike any other program in the nation, my program is looking at the entire family. Let's get kapunas and anybody else living within that home, auntie, uncle. Let's get everyone together and let's talk about healthy lifestyle. And everyone come together, be accountable. And so therefore that started my journey on family obesity workshops, which resulted in my first book, The Happy Healthy Revolution. So I think it's so important that everyone has to be on board. And I've seen success with it. And after doing all these family obesity workshops for free, I was getting tired. And so I decided to do something that was never in Hawaii. It's called Walk with a Doc Oahu. So this is where a doctor meets with the community and educates them with a health tip, and also walks with them, and really just being in an environment outside of the office, just to let people know that they're not alone in this journey. No matter where you are in your physical health or mental health, come out and join me. You're gonna hear a health tip every week. You're gonna be with like-minded people. You're gonna be accountable. It doesn't even feel like work or exercise. Before you know it, the hour is over. And so I think that that Walk with a Doc Oahu, which I've been doing now since 2016, it's been very successful. I meet every Saturday at Central Oahu Regional Park near the tennis courts from 8 to 9. We get about 30 to 40 people every week.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah, and I also have, every other month, I have other activities where we meet. We do craft with a doc, cook with a doc, dance with a doc.
When you're walking, is it just like around the park? Or what
Yeah.
happens on this walk?
Right, so I do the health tip, the 5-minute health tip. We warm up, I do warm-up exercises. And we have 3 routes, a short, a medium, and a long route. And then we regroup, and I go over the health tip, we cool down, and then we have fruit refreshments. And so it's really wonderful to see people just lingering for half an hour after the walk. I'm like, okay guys, I'm going. But the social connection is so important, especially, I would say 80% of my walkers are kupunas, although all ages are welcome. But I think that people who really want to get started but don't know how, I think it's so hard to do it by yourself. Yeah. You just feel so alone, and then it's not safe. And so I've heard from feedback from my walkers that they have been so excited to come every week, and they bring their husbands or their other significant other. And I've had some people who no longer come to walk with a doc, but they check in and they say, I've been running half marathons. One person said I climbed Mount Kilimanjaro and he looked great. I'm almost near tears every time people come back and tell me how much it was so helpful for their journey.
What is it about the act of, going for a walk, being around people that you've seen has been so healing and uniting? Because when you just say it, it's like, oh yeah, they go for a walk, but it sounds like so much more than that. What it means to people. Yeah?
I think it's making new friends, seeing new friends. It's being out in nature. Like, some people just have no motivation to be outdoors. We have the most beautiful weather in the world, so we can do this walk, all year round. And I just think, people are so happy with my health tip. I just do a general health tip for all ages, and I'm always surprised. They said, I'm really actually working on the health tip you mentioned, and I just think it's that social connection again, and being around people who you're accountable to. Like, if someone doesn't show up for 2 or 3 weeks, if they didn't tell me they're on a vacation, sometimes, where's Frank? We haven't seen him, and it's so, the camaraderie and fellowship, I think, is priceless.
What kind of conversations take place? At first, before we talked, I just imagined people coming up to you asking for all kinds of health advice. Like, they don't have to come to your office. Like, hey doc, I got this thing on my arm.
Yeah, But I always tell the seniors, hey, I'm a pediatrician. But they're general things. They know that I just talk about general things. But I tell people, when you come to walk with a doc, you want to walk with someone new. Don't walk with your spouse, you see, 24/7. And I think I get to know people, and people get to know me, and we share stories, our successes, our challenges, and it's really beautiful.
What does that mean? Like, we see what it means for these people. What has it meant for you? How has it filled you up?
I've been a private practice pediatrician now over 40 years, and I'll be honest with you, working 6 days a week, taking call 24/7 for over 30 years, I was getting burnt out. Sometimes you feel like no one listens to me, no one's losing weight, no one, you just feel so dejected and inefficient. But I think that every Saturday, this is the highlight of my week, where I'm just so grateful to see people really benefiting. And it reminds me, like, I have to remind myself, why did I want to go into medicine 50 years ago? And that's what I try to tell my other physicians. We need to, as providers, we need to take care of ourselves and fill ourselves up. Otherwise, we're no good to our patients. Yeah. So I'm hoping that we'll get more doctors involved in Walk with a Doc, and we'll open up more groups, walking groups.
Hey, I want to tell you guys about one of the best companies to work for here in Hawaii. And I'm not just saying that. I literally had one of my good friends go down there and apply for a job. She got hired, and she is just loving it over there. I'm talking about Elite Parking. I've gotten to know the owners and the management team, and they have one of the best work environments I've ever seen because they're good people down there. And they follow this philosophy of one team making a difference. And so they really take care of each other because they understand the value of everybody working together and being happy. I mean, it's the hospitality industry that they're in. And of course, they want to make sure that first and last impressions are always great. And so they really want to take care of their employees so that the employees can take care of their customers. So they do all kinds of things as it pertains to parking, like valet parking, private events, hospitals. They run the parking for commercial properties and hotels. So lots of opportunities, and they have other positions within the company as well. And so if you're looking for a place to check out for work, they're always looking for really good candidates. So I suggest that you go and check them out. Go to eliteparking.net/careers and see what they got. Maybe it might be a good fit. Here in Hawaii is grateful to be sponsored by UHA Health Insurance. For over 27 years, they've been committed to personalized service, working to provide Hawaii businesses with health plans that help support their employees' health and well-being while building connections through a caring heart. Now, they aren't the biggest health insurer or the oldest, but they're homegrown, they're founded by physicians, and driven by a profound kuleana and privileged duty to care for Hawaii's people. We hope that you enjoy connecting the dots to your why, featuring leaders inspired to malama or care deeply for our community while fulfilling their calling. UHA Health Insurance, your local insurer, offering quality medical, drug, and vision plans to Hawaii employers. Join them at uhahealth.com/HIH. You said that the answer to the question your staff asked you of what your passion is, and you said, obesity and health. Why is that something that you're so passionate about?
I started practice, we opened up our doors in 1984. I didn't see obesity. Over the years, we're now having a worldwide obesity crisis. And this is going to be the first generation of children who will be unhealthier than their parents. In my office, I see it all the time. Teenagers are developing adult chronic illnesses like type 2 diabetes and hypertension and high cholesterol. If we continue this way, our healthcare system is going to collapse. I mean, it's great that we have programs for seniors, but let's go a little upstream. Let's look at this generation of children. Let's educate our young parents and really empower them, give them tools to prevent and be proactive. And that's my goal.
What has it been like for you as far as your connection to caring and being a part of the Hawaii community and its people? And how has that been, I guess, unique or special for you? What is that connection?
I never imagined in a million years that I would be doing things. I wrote 2 books. I never even imagined I would write 2 books. I do monthly KHON on Living 808 health tips for the past 7 or 8 years, and I think I'm now understanding the mission that God has given me. I think I'm equipped now to try to spread my message. I'm working on an online program to reach out to families with obesity. My second book, my COVID-19 diary, hopefully will be put into a Hollywood screen production, just to reach out and tell people, don't give up hope. There's always a light. There's always something that you can do, no matter where you are in your health journey.
Why do you feel so committed to caring for others in this fashion and serving others like this? Because it seems like you're going even outside of your practice to be a part of the community in so many ways and to help families and even just creating conversations and connections for people. Like, why is that something that you keep?
As I mentioned earlier, I felt that I was so privileged to be accepted into medical school. And I feel that I need to Hawaii invested in me, and I want to give back to Hawaii and the world because I was given that privilege. And I don't know I turned 70 in a week, and I don't know how many more years God will give me, but knock on wood, I want to keep giving back as long as I can. And I myself am trying to stay healthy as well.
When you read that book when you're 8 years old,
Yeah.
what was it about that made you go, this is what I want to do? And has that inspiration changed throughout your career?
You know, Elizabeth Blackwell, if you read her autobiography, she was so bold. She is the first woman doctor in America. And it didn't matter what anyone else said. I like the balls that she had, you know, like she just went for it. And maybe I was a tomboy, maybe in sports, you know, I'd go up against the boys and I said, yeah, I want to be like that, you know. And I do believe that medicine is a calling. And I don't know what it was, but ever since I was 8 years old, like everything I did was, every day I would say, what can I do towards this goal? What's another thing I can do towards this goal? You know, whether it's studying or, you know, doing volunteer work. I mean, my whole life was, I pictured myself with a white coat, you know, and then my grandparents were sick and people would say, oh, Theresa, you know, let's go see, you know, Gung Gung at the hospital, because everyone knew I was a doctor, so they just assumed I was going to be a doctor.
What is, looking back now, I mean, you said over, 30, 40 years?
40 years of practice,
You've seen so much happen. What are you still looking forward to or wanting to see for your community, for the people that are relying on you and that you are seeking to help?
Well, number one, I have 5 grandchildren. I have 4 children and 5 grandchildren. And I foresee a future in Hawaii where people can finally open their eyes to how important the family structure is, and parents being on the same page and having boundaries and routines, and, you know, they become successful adults. They do well in school. If they do well at home, they do well in school, they do well in life. I want to see Hawaii succeed, and I want our children to be healthier than us. And so there's a lot of work to do, but I'm trying to spread that word, and I'm just one voice, but hopefully, you know, my voice has ripples and I try to mentor my med students or pre-med students or high school students so that they understand what the mission is.
Hey friends, if you got a leaky faucet or want to do some upgrades to your bathroom and kitchen, well, our good friends at City Mill have an awesome 15% off all faucets during their DIY sale. It's happening from September 29th through October 19th, and they've also got things like recaulking supplies on sale to help you with protecting your tubs, tiles, and showers. And you can look for savings on even more project supplies in store or online at citymill.com. Hey, I wanted to take a quick second to acknowledge and mahalo one of our great sponsors here on the show, and that's Aloha Care. They're a nonprofit health plan, and they've been a really great partner for us in supporting the show. So please support them by going to their website and learning more about them at alohacare.org. All right, now back to the show. You talk about how it's so important for families to understand, you know, how important it is for them to be together and the health of the family. Is that something that you saw from your family, your parents, and try to emulate?
Stephen and myself, you know, we raised 4 children. Even though we were working parents, we always tried to have as many family meals, breakfast and dinner together. We had something called Talk About the Day. Every night before the kids went to bed, we would gather, the 6 of us, and talk about the day. Each person had to say something. Even when they're in high school, they go, oh, Mom, we're teenagers. You gotta be kidding me. You know what? We're gonna talk about the day. We did lots of family activities, and to this day, even after the passing of Stephen, we're so close, and, you know, and I see them raising their children in a similar manner. So I'm so proud of them.
Something just occurred to me, like so much of what you've been about is communication and
yes.
Talking. And I grew up in a Chinese household, and that was the opposite. Like, we don't talk, don't share feelings, right?
I did too.
So how were you able to change that?
I do think I communicated okay with my parents, but I think we as parents, we can pick and choose what we want. We have now the opportunity to change our parenting style. We don't have to do it how they did it. And so, I think it's important that I share with parents, this is what I did, and that seemed to really work. Or, I never saw my mom and dad like hug and kiss. So when we had our first child, I just give them hugs and kisses, and to this day we say, when I hang up from the phone, I love you. And I come from a very traditional Chinese family. My grandparents came from China, they lived with us. So I think, I've come a long way.
You've been doing this for a long time, so you've probably been a part of dozens and hundreds and thousands of families.
Yeah.
And so I'm sure it's not uncommon for you to run into former patients and families. And so what has it been like for you when you run into them and they have such a deep appreciation and love for the things that you meant to
my
them?
heart is just filled with gratefulness that if I was just a small part of their upbringing, and people will tell me how they remembered me, and some people will even say, I remembered you told me to eat my vegetables. And I'm so touched that I could have a positive effect in their lives. And I've had so many of my patients become physicians. I'm just so proud of all of them. I don't know what they saw in me, but I'm just really happy to see the next generation, and it really makes all of this work well worth it.
And when it comes to the Walk with a Doc program, the thing that kind of stood out to me was that it makes it feel like you're being vulnerable to let people know who you are as a person, not just I'm Dr. Wee. You're Theresa, right?
I'm Theresa, and I tell people that, hey, the doctor said I need to pay attention to my blood pressure. I need to exercise. I need to do things, and I think you almost have to show people that, I'm not just a doctor saying you should do this, this, and this. I'm living it. I'm trying to eat right. I'm trying to sleep right. I'm trying to, and so finally in my life, I'm an empty nester, and I can actually do this, and I'm hoping that I can be an example, role model for other people, but I'm not perfect either. None of us are perfect, but if I can keep encouraging other people, I think that's the most important thing. Not give up. You got to just have that grit every day. Be 1% better. And right now, a lot of kupunas, they're dealing with grief. I also like to share my story of grief. I could have given up 14 years ago when my husband of 30 years passed away, but I was lucky enough to be into this grief support group, and I still attend it 14 years later every month.
Oh, wow.
Because it has helped me to heal through this process. Grieving is a lifelong journey. And so I enjoy sharing that with them. And again, like you said, being very vulnerable, transparent with people. I didn't want my husband to die. I thought he would be with me forever. But through walking through this grief, I've learned a lot. You feel every emotion, and you make a choice. And I made the choice to come back and do something. I could have wallowed in the pity, and I decided, you know what? I still have work to do. there's still more that I can do for Hawaii. And I think we should look at adversity as something, an opportunity to learn and to grow, and grow every day. If we stop growing, we die. I hope my husband's looking down and he's proud of me, because I want to honor his life as well. And I thank God every morning for letting me have another day to just be out there